life here looks perfect.
Isn't Allison amazing? She's in town like 2 minutes, and already she's got a job working with a bunch of wackos. Excuse me. Mentally challenged.
Howard Stern stars in his first movie, and guess what? It's all about him. Private Parts is one of 5 new films we'll be reviewing this week on Siskel and Ebert. I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times.
And I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune. Yes, Private Parts is all about Howard and how he grew from being a nerd to the #1 radio jock in New York City. But the surprise in Private Parts is just how much time he spends talking about his marriage, praising his devoted wife. This is a Valentine to a wife as much as a biography of a media genius. Howard Stern turns out to be a big softy. And I know what you're thinking, Howard, when you hear that. Here's where Howard, playing himself, reenacts a critical moment in his professional life.
I just gotta let things fly. I gotta go all the way.
You didn't go all the way before?
No, I mean, no. A lot of times I'm just holding back.
And I guess you should go all the way.
And later, another tender, if comical, scene as Howard gets some great news from Allison, nicely played by Mary McCormick from TV's Murder One.
Something, look at yourself. You're completely on fire about having a baby. You don't understand. I'm not a piece of me. I mean, I have to be romanced.
Yeah, please.
Ooh, look at that bra.
Where did you get that?
You like this?
Okay, that's it. That's it. I am making a baby.
The third act of the movie is about Howard's battles with an uptight programming director at WNBC Radio after he gets his big break to work in New York.
Because, see, you don't have a real good voice like I'm as Captain Frank and nothing, so we're going to have to practice it.
Well, you mean practicing here now?
You're not going to get bashful on me now, are you, Howard? Okay, you ready? The way it's said properly is WNBC.
His radio sidekick, Robin Quivers, plays herself as well. She's a little more uptight on camera than Howard. And here we see they did have a fight early on when she felt Howard didn't support her after WNBC tried to break them apart by firing her, hoping to punish him.
You're not gonna quit?
No.
You're gonna let him throw me out like garbage?
No, I want to beat these guys. I want to stomp them into the ground. The only way to do that is to stay on the air. I gotta stay on the air, Robin.
Private Parts is rated R, of course, and has a couple of nude scenes and a little of Howard's raunchy, freakazoid, toilet, lesbian-obsessed humor. A little of that. But that aside, Private Parts is really a mainstream movie in terms of its focus on a loving romance and its modern-day story of the revenge of a nerd. There's a big, sweet close-up of Howard smiling toward the end of the picture, and that shot, along with scenes of him hugging his wife, are the true signature images of Private Parts. Howard Stern in Private Parts, and perhaps in real life, he's as American as apple pie, served by a lesbian waitress, of course.
You know, I enjoyed the picture.
I did too.
It's funny, it's heartwarming, it's sweet.
It's sweet.
It's about, we now find out the real Howard Stern is a family man who loves his wife. Yeah. You know what I was reminded of? Don Rickles in Vegas. He spends an hour insulting everybody in the room. Right. And then after an hour of saying the most vile, offensive things he can think of to everyone inside, he says, oh, but really, I was just kidding. I love you. I love you. You're a pussycat. Yeah. Hey, and I've got a big heart, too. And in a way, it almost disappointed me that Howard didn't really go for the throat here or go for the kill. Howard on the radio was a different person than Howard in this movie. It's like he did kind of soft pedal it for Hollywood.
I think that his next picture, and I'm sure there'll be another one from him, will be the harder edge one, where he'll talk about, frankly, I think a thing that people don't even get into is Howard's political smarts in his radio show. That's never talked about. It's just the, the sex stuff. And yeah, he has another harder picture to make. But this is sweet. It's a lovely romance.
I like the acting. The guy who played the program director is very funny. Howard is good. I didn't think that Robin was, you called her uptight. I think that that's the role she plays. She's always the kind of the voice of sanity, the person who doesn't really, can't believe what she's seeing or doesn't think Howard should go. And I felt that she did a good job of portraying that.
I think she's a little less comfortable than Howard on camera.
Anyway, it was an entertaining movie. Okay, next film. And our next movie is an extraordinary character study named Hard 8. Like Sling Blade, it introduces us to a completely original character and then follows him as we wonder what this guy is up to. The movie begins in a coffee shop in Nevada where a well-dressed stranger offers to buy a cup of coffee for a young man who's broke and apparently homeless. What does he want? At first, we're not sure.
Come from Vegas? Reno?
Vegas?
You lost some money?
No.
You won some money?
I broke even.
What were you playing?
Blackjack.
You know how to count cards?
The older man, named Sidney, is played by Philip Baker Hall, and his new friend John is played by John C. Reilly. In a casino, Sidney teaches John how to start with $150 and recycle that same amount of money through the teller cages again and again until the house is convinced he's a high roller and they comp him with a free room. There we are. Good luck.
Thanks a lot.
2 years go by. Sidney still hangs out in casinos and is still friendly with the young guy, but now there's a woman in the picture, a waitress played by Gwyneth Paltrow.
Hello, Captain.
Hello again.
Do you remember my name?
Clementine.
That's right.
Just like the movie.
Exactly.
Through John, Sidney meets a new person he doesn't much like. It's an ominous stranger played by Samuel L. Jackson.
I saw you playing crap over the original Doom. You bet the hard 8 for 1,000 and you pressed it for 2.
Did I hit it?
Nah, you didn't hit it. But it was a big bet, and I remembered your face.
Stupid bet.
Hard Eight is not in any way a conventional thriller or crime story. It's a human interest movie, a personality movie focusing on this older guy named Sidney who has been around and learned the ropes and doesn't like to make the same mistake twice. This is a great performance by Philip Baker Hall. We've seen him before in Secret Honor, the 1984 Robert Altman film where he played Richard Nixon on his last night in office. Sidney is a completely different character, but the performance is just as fascinating and makes you realize how shallow and easy to read a lot of movie characters are.
Yes, I think that Philip Baker Hall is going to get a lot of work off of this film. If it's seen by the right casting agents and, more importantly, the top flight directors in America, they will use this guy because he is mesmerizing.
Yes.
And also, the director has a great technique, and that's showing us that little transactions, like insert shots, basically, or moves, really mean a lot to people who are desperate.
Yes.
And that he makes tension out of somebody handing somebody something. And that I like, rather than, you know, how do you think make things tense in most American movies? Blow it up or something like that.
And what's interesting here is that everybody doesn't get all involved in it. There is some action of a sort at the end.
Right.
But it's not about that. It's about this man who essentially looks as if he'd spent about 9 centuries sitting in coffee houses, smoking cigarettes and looking at people, and now wants to give a little advice to a guy, and the guy really isn't really smart enough to benefit from it.
I think I know what he's doing, and that's because what he's doing is because he doesn't have a family.
Yes.
Okay. Coming up next.
That's good.
Al Pacino as a mobster once again, co-starring with Johnny Depp in Donnie Brasco.
Wise guy never carries his money in a wallet, see? Always in a roll. Bina on the outside. Embarrassed myself, my family, my children, my mother can hold her head up in any neighborhood in the city where she walks down the block, see? In all the 5 boroughs, I'm known. Forget about it.
Al Pacino plays a veteran mobster named Lefty who befriends a young guy played by Johnny Depp, known as a jewel thief named Donnie Brasco, in a new movie that takes on the considerable challenge of being fresh about an exhausted subject, mobsters. But what makes this picture work is that Donnie Brasco is really kind of a love story, or at least a story of a deep friendship. Here's where the two guys take their vows, or at least Lefty does, because he's vouched for Donnie to his mob bosses.
I die with you, Donnie. Anything happens, I'm responsible. All right?
All right, salute.
But what Lefty doesn't know is that Donnie is really an FBI agent wearing a wire, here meeting with agents who have been transcribing his recordings.
What's forget about it? What is that?
Forget about it. It's like, if you agree with someone, you know, like Raquel Welch's One Great Piece, forget about it.
The problem for Donnie is that he's getting great stuff, but he knows he's burning Lefty, who compared with the other scum in the mob, seems almost worthy of sympathy. And the squeeze on Donnie gets tighter when Lefty's big boss wants Donnie to forget about Lefty and just work for him. Michael Madsen plays the boss in a very good scene.
I don't want to be stepping on nobody's toes. I mean, if it wasn't for Left,
That's it. Look. You belong to me now. That's it.
Back home with his estranged wife, Donnie confesses both the job and his affection for Lefty are really getting to him. Anne Heche plays the long-suffering spouse.
I can't breathe anymore. And if I come out, this guy Lefty dies. They're gonna kill him. because he vouched for me.
So that's how Donnie Brasco gives us a new angle in otherwise familiar material. We root for a mobster to be saved rather than watch a routine shootout or a battle for supreme mob power. Johnny Depp and Al Pacino have terrific chemistry together, and former film critic Paul Attanasio for coming up with another fascinating reality-based script after his Oscar-nominated quiz show. I really like this film, and I was surprised I did.
Oh, I liked it too. And I'll tell you, you know, we've known for a long time that Pacino is a good actor. Sure. And Depp, we've given good reviews to five of his recent
big
pictures.
Talent.
He is very good. The chemistry they have together is so interesting in the way that this FBI mole begins to identify more with the guy he's supposed to be spying on, with the people he's supposed to be working with. And then also, even though the mafia is an overworked subject, the casting here, somebody like Michael Madsen brings a kind of a fresh tension to it that makes the whole movie into a human story rather than a crime story.
I remember hearing years ago a director saying, you know, if you cast it right, you're 80% home, and this is one of those cases. And Johnny Depp is really the secret ingredient here because people will not spot him. You can't see this character and spot him from his other work. He's a big, big talent.
Yes, you know what's interesting? This movie, in a way, is a companion piece to Hard Eight. Both of them are about an older guy who trusts a younger guy who may not be trustworthy, and he doesn't know. It's interesting to see them together.
When we come back, Julia Ormond stars in a thriller based on the bestseller Smilla's Sense of Snow.
Go in a straight line towards the edge. No child in the world would play like that.
Well, that's the setup for Smilla's Sense of Snow, as a woman from Greenland, now living in Denmark, tries to figure out why a small boy apparently ran straight off the roof of her building. Smilla is played by Julia Ormond, and her mysterious neighbor there is played by Gabriel Byrne. The police figure it was all just an accident, but Smilla doesn't believe them and goes to question the doctor who performed the autopsy on the dead boy.
We all have our phobias. Do you know what his science was? It was heights.
Nevertheless, he was up there.
Yes, he was. And what puzzles me, what keeps me awake at night, is wondering what made him go up there at all.
She finds out from a retired secretary, played by Vanessa Redgrave, that the boy's death may be linked to his father's death in a mysterious Greenland mining accident.
The devil assumes many forms. It's one of those forms that I'm looking for.
Later, she's stunned to see her neighbor, who she trusted, meeting with the head of the mining company, played by Richard Harris. And then she smuggles herself on a ship to Greenland to get to the bottom of this mystery, which obsesses her. Smilla's Sense of Snow is a complete triumph of style over substance. The plot is totally absurd, and I didn't care that it was. The first two-thirds of the movie are completely successful. Julia Ormond does a brilliant job of playing this cold, intellectual, determined, stubborn loner of a woman, and the movie creates a cold, moody, frightening winter atmosphere in Copenhagen. Then the ending of the film turns completely weird, and what is hiding under the ice of Greenland can only be described as wildly inappropriate to the rest of the story, but by then, it doesn't matter. The acting, the cinematography, and the style are so good that nothing can sabotage this film, not even some of the goofiest plotting of the year.
I had the same reaction. I was so thrilled to see Julia Ormond play this character and have the character written. We sit here week after week saying, why can't they write characters who are smart?
Yeah.
This is a smart person. This is a person that's angry and isn't going to back off. And it's not presented too much as a head case, but when I saw her, I thought, well, why? What's wrong with? There's nothing wrong with her. She's outraged, and she just isn't going to back off. And I like the way she played it.
It's a great performance.
I would follow her in any story, and I do in a wild one.
It's a great performance. It's great writing. It's great direction and cinematography. And then the ending. I will not give away the ending, except to say that it belongs in a 1960 Roger Corman science fiction movie.
Maybe so.
Okay.
All right, coming up next, Booty Call, the story of a couple of guys who Howard Stern could relate to. They've only got sex on the brain. Their mind. That's the simple premise of our next film, Booty Call, a pretty outrageous comedy in which two guys will say or do just about anything to land their babes. And one of those babes is ready to play herself. Here, the classier of the two guys, Rashawn, played by Tommy Davidson, prepares his more outrageous friend, Buns, played by Jamie Foxx, both from In Living Color, to meet a couple of classy women.
Listerine, this is Rashawn's friend, Buns.
Hey, now I was thinking of, damn, where you going?
What do you think you are doing? Did you see that tarantula hair fool?
On the ladies' side, a difference too. One's more conservative than the other. That's Nikki, played by Tamala Jones. Hotter to trot, or is she a tease, is Listerine, played by Vivica A. Fox.
Prude. Prude. Oh, see, I am nobody's prude. I just don't want to rush into having sex. And see, that may be hard for you to understand. Oh, really?
Naturally, sex doesn't come easy to the boys. They have to buy condoms first. In this, the first condom comedy.
We have Ginza, Chic, Hot Tamale,
Booty Call, Backdoor Man, Manhandlers,
Ramrod, Loop Job, Indeep,
Joy Trail, Buckwild, and Goodyear Eagles.
And then there are mistakes in communication about sexual protection.
Oh, my God, you are the only man in this world I know dumb enough to do something like this.
What a show this week. Howard Stern and then Booty Call.
Now, Howard Stern is the good taste movie this
absolutely.
week.
It's outrageous. Howard, you old conservative, you. Booty Call reminds me in spirit of Beavis and Butthead. Two guys constantly looking for sex. Only some of the jokes work and build, but their single-minded passion, that's what's really funny. It's a close call, but a marginal recommendation from me. I have a feeling there's going to be a sequel, and actually, I'd like to see these characters' private lives away from sex. That could be even funnier than Booty Call.
I had to give it thumbs up, too, and I'll tell you, this movie is vulgar. It's in bad taste. The MPAA warning about the movie goes on for about a paragraph. Oh, it's vulgar, and it's got language and nudity and behavior.
Well, so was Beavis and Butthead, yeah.
But it's funny.
Yeah.
And why do you go to this movie? To laugh. And did I laugh? Yes, I laughed. Yeah. There are the scenes where the dog is jumping in the air and snapping, and I won't say what's going. And in fact, all of the scenes with the dog were very, very funny.
Do you know what they're going to have a sequel. This will be a hit.
I hope so.
All right. Do you know what I'm talking about? The private lives of these guys? In other words, just don't replay this same setup again.
I don't know. I wouldn't mind them replaying the same setup again.
Come on.
Okay.
Coming up next, our video pick of the week, a movie just out on tape that I know Howard Stern would love.
It's perfect.
All the elements of all the other movies on this show. It's a sexy comic mob story called Bound, about a couple of apparently mismatched women who were turned on to each other, Howard, are you listening? And decide to work together to rip off a mobster of $2 million in cash. Jennifer Tilly plays the mobster's seemingly dumb bimbo who suffers his abuse silently until she approaches a new next-door neighbor, a tough-as-nails ex-con played by Gina Gershon from Showgirls.
I want a new life. I see what I've been waiting for, but I can't do it alone. I need your help, Corky.
Together, these lovers now devise a plan.
I'm going to need something to fill the case. Hide it near the desk. And at that point, there's no turning back.
You will not be able to anticipate this picture, and the performances, in particular, by Gina Gershon, are first-rate. I just know Howard Stern is still watching this show. Howard, Bound, just out on video. It's your cup of tea. And A. Now let's recap the movies we reviewed on this show. 2 thumbs up for Private Parts, the surprisingly sweet Howard Stern biopic, A Comic Valentine. It opens next Friday. 2 thumbs up for Hard 8, the mysterious love and friendship story set in the world of gamblers and bust-outs and hookers and johns. Terrific performances by Philip Baker Hall and Gwyneth Paltrow. 2 thumbs up for Donnie Brasco, the Al Pacino Johnny Depp wiretapping makes strange bedfellow story. 2 thumbs up for Smilla Sense of Snow, an offbeat drama about a woman with a chip on her shoulder and a mystery buried in ice. Julia Ormond stars and does a great job. And 2 thumbs up for the very silly but occasionally very funny, raunchy Booty Call.
So, 10 thumbs up for this show.
But Roger,
amazing.
The civilization is...
Yeah, it doesn't say much for civilization, but it says a lot for entertainment, I guess. I don't know. That's it for this week. Next week, we'll be back with reviews of more new movies, including Jungle to Jungle, starring Tim Allen as a financial wizard who is reunited with a son who was raised in the jungle, and The Day Trippers, starring Stanley Tucci, Campbell Scott, and Parker Posey, in a comedy about marital infidelity in Manhattan. That's next week, and until then, the balcony is closed.
Rich, buttery milk chocolate. Isn't it time you had a Heath bar? Have a Heath.
Now for a limited time, get a free movie ticket when you buy a specially marked Magnadoodle. Look for details on the package.
Magnadoodle.
Your arthritis pain can't wait. Call now and break through to fast-acting, long-lasting relief with Menthicin.
You have a 30-year mortgage. So shouldn't you have a 30-year faucet? Moen. Buy it for looks. Buy it for life.